Financial wellness. Reach out to them for advice at 855-DON-GINO. And now back to your hosts, Don Getling and Gino Franti.
So you've grown your team. Explain why you have a team in certain areas, because I know you also started a property management company called The Residence LA, right?
Right, correct. Well, in our business, REO and retail, takes a lot of time, a lot of commitment, especially on the REO side. And as you know, everybody has to prospect to get into business.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name of the game. And we were finding ourselves wanting to do things other than prospect because nobody likes to prospect.
Right.
So in adding team members that are experienced and qualified, we were able to get back to doing what we do best, which is meeting with the clients, make sure they're serviced correctly, make sure their needs are met. And so I think that's the main thing.
Isn't that wonderful, though, to have that time to do that, right?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Because it's frustrating. You think, oh, I can do everything, but you really can't. I mean, we love really getting in the brass tacks with our clients. We don't just here's a rate.
Right.
It's asking all the right questions and finding out what's really important to them. And you even have that on your dialogue about you guys. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
Is actually providing the client what's important to them, not what's important to you.
It's key. It's absolutely key.
And Champ's a real good listener, which is totally different than any of all of us except for him.
That's correct. That is absolutely correct.
It's just because I'm shy.
I don't buy it. You can't be in sales and be that shy.
Yeah.
But it is important to be a good listener, and you have been the most quiet here, so,
Speaking of crushing it, just wanted to go back. I mean, when we met Gino, we met him at a real estate office that we were managing, which was a subset of a finance company, and there were about 240 people maybe at the height of it. When I wanted to do a personal loan, Gino was the guy that I went to. So he's been crushing it from day one.
Yeah,
so just to backtrack, I had 240
that's a nice
240
compliment.
people that I could have chosen from, including the owner of the company, who is the person that hired Steve and I and asked us to set up the real estate division. Gino was the man.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
You
It's always been a great relationship, and I'm glad. It's been too bad that so much time's gone by since we've seen each other, but it's good that you guys are here. And
Yeah, we had to start a radio show just to bring you over.
Yeah, right.
That's very true. It's good that we're here.
yeah, I don't know how much they really liked me because they were like hiding from me for a while.
Again, if you just tuned in, you're here with the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show, and we're here with some really good guests, some top professionals with well over 25 years experience. We have Steve Senigram and Champ Davenport with Keller Williams Los Feliz sharing with us what happens outside of our bubble here in Santa Clarita and giving us a good idea of what's going on. Believe it or not, there's REOs. Now, explain what an REO is. So, because a lot of our guests are like, and our listeners are like, what's an REO? I forgot what that is.
It's strange that a lot of agents that list REOs don't even know what that means.
Isn't that the truth?
Yes.
It was a division of the bank. I mean, it still is a division of the bank. And when a bank makes a loan on a property, they have the loan. If the loan goes bad, then they take the asset, and that asset is the real estate owned. So REO stands for real estate owned, as opposed to a loan that's out there now.
Basically a foreclosed on property.
Foreclosed on property.
And
Okay.
so-
And it still happens, and we should talk a little bit about why that's happening, because all the charts we see, foreclosures are near all-time lows again, back down below 2%. But a lot of people got out of this, the downturn with modifications. Are those coming back to bite some people in the butt right now?
Absolutely. And I can say that I think the difference today from maybe 6 or 7 years ago is the banks are really trying to work with the borrowers
agree.
now.
But they're not as overwhelmed as they were also.
No, absolutely not. But, people are taking advantage, and they're taking advantage of equity they have in the property by pulling an astronomical amount of money out and essentially knowing that it's going to be difficult for them to repay it.
So people, as you guys, we were talking about that earlier, people don't change, huh?
They don't. It's hard, and
So they're not really preparing for when that inevitable day comes, when that loan resets from a 2 or a 3 or a 4% interest-only loan that was to help them through the downturn.
Right.
And get your job, get yourself set up, and then it's going to go back to a fixed rate. I guarantee a lot. I won't say what percentage, but a large percentage are not going to be prepared for that.
Correct, absolutely. And how hard is it knowing that you can go and get $150,000.
Right.
You know, the temptation is always there without people realizing that, oh man, we have to pay this back eventually.
Right.
Yeah, I think,
So-
you know, that there's less of those loans around,
Yes.
you know, and that's why you guys see, we, as in a whole, we see a very small amount. But the reality is, yeah, some people were still irresponsible. You always have a group of people that were irresponsible or, like you said, Don, in fact, I started looking at a few of these lately, is, you know, they got these Band-Aid loans, right, the modifications
Absolutely.
that were, you know, they were supposedly to help the consumer, but at the end of the day, what they were really doing was helping the bank by taking a non-performing note and making it a performing note on the books. It cleaned up the bank so the bank didn't have to carry as much capital.
Correct.
And when you look at these things, I have one on my desk right now, it started at 2%. And last year it went to 3%, and this year it goes to 4%, and next year it goes to 5%. Now, not that 5% is a bad rate, but this person could afford 2%, but they can't afford 5%.
It's a big jump.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
They just
absolutely a
can't.
big jump.
And so you're going to see some more foreclosures from these modifications. And I have to note that you can't refinance a loan that was modified with a deferred balance or a principal modification. So that's something else that is going to have to change going forward. Either Fannie and Freddie are going to have to change their guidelines and allow us to do a little better work on those that have a deferral.
Right.
Or something's going to have to give, so you might end up with a lot of REOs on those.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have a lot of REOs. I mean, how many do you have
Yeah,
in your
we-
books right now? Because, like I said, you'll hear, and we always tease the media only because they're just reading reports. They don't actually understand what they mean. And there's a decent amount of REOs still coming down. And you think there's more coming.
I do. I think there's more coming. You know, I think that people are going to continue to do what they've been doing.
It's interesting. Our pipeline, you know, when it was very busy, we would have listings that were already there, and then we would have things that were in the process of coming there. They'd been foreclosed on, and whether people were still in the property or whatever, it would take a long time. We might be carrying 120 properties during the height,
Wow.
and that's a lot, but it's not crazy. There's some guys who are doing 200 and 300
Right.
during that time. But right now, we probably have about 40. I'd
40
say.
assignments.
40 assignments,
Okay.
right.
And it's still a decent amount. I mean, like I said, most out here, I'd say that maybe have onesie twosies.
Right.
that we see.
Interestingly, that's from more clients. So before, when we would have 120, that might be with 4 or 5 different clients,
Right.
that much
Banks
inventory.
and so forth.
Now we probably have about 8 or 9 clients with less inventory. But,
Right.
you know, I
But
guess
you
it's-
still are the REO experts.
I was going to say it's a process
Yeah,
of attrition.
and,
If
and you know,
start
some of
standing-
these assignments are the banks coming to us to try to reach out to the homeowner before they foreclose.
Okay.
To say, because, you know, a lot of the homeowners don't respond to the letters that the banks send. So we go and we knock the door at the banks trying to get a hold of you to modify or to help you stay in your home. Some of them don't get it, some of them do.
All right. So you might want to stay tuned if you want to get it, because luckily we have Steve Senigram and Champ Davenport with Keller Williams from Los Feliz sharing with us what's happening on the west side, what's happening in the REO markets. We're going to talk, and that's the foreclosure markets. We're going to also talk about how to deal with cash offers and finding the right agent, because you guys are definitely the right agents. So it's hard to find them, and it makes a huge difference. We know that from our experience, because usually we have to do the agents' jobs for them half the time, I swear.
Unfortunately. It is
All
true.
right, so if you want to stay in the know, stay tuned for the second half of the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show. You'll be glad you did. We'll be right back.